Welcome back to Afro Chess. I'm Zola, your host, as we unravel the beauty of African chess. Today we'll be looking at a game from the Kenya National Chess Championship with the white pieces FIDE Master Simiyu Jadon, 13-year-old prodigy versus three-time national champion Mehul Gohil. We kick off with the French defense and we see a Taraj on the board. They pick a closed variation, the pieces developing normally, black putting some pressure on the center. Bishop a6 is a very intriguing move. The simple idea of the bishop in French positions is usually quite bad as it's walled in by all these light squared pawns. So trading it off can be advantageous. We do see white obliging to the trade very quickly. The knight reroutes, maybe it'll support some expansion on the queen side later on. The piece is developing nicely. In this game, white is going to try and get maybe some aggressive kingside attack. Doesn't necessarily have to push g4, maybe he'll even sack the f pawn and get his pieces flowing against this enemy king. c4, putting all the pawns on light square since he traded off his light squared bishop. Some nice position of chess on display. g3, just good solid chess, and whoa, king to d7. No one's gonna believe me, but that's the top engine move. Now, this is some crazy preparation. There's no way you just sit on the board and think of king d7. If this is straight from his mind, dude's a genius. What the hell is king d7? After much research, he found out that the idea behind king d7 is to literally walk to the queen side and put your king on a7 after pushing the a pawn to a5, maybe the rook on the b file, and apparently you're fine since position is so close, it's kind of hard to get to your king. Now this is some wild chess. Queen moves over to c2, maybe putting an eye on the light squares a bit and supporting the only break in the position possibly. We do see the queenside expansion, bishop drops back to f2, queen to g8, maybe hinting at some counterattack on this same side. It's quite risky since black didn't castle to start opening up the position. And you do see b3, an attempt to open up the position. a4, oh, an interesting move. Taking on a4 is really not advisable as the rook takes back and there's massive pressure on a3. Not want such a situation. That's why we see a trade on c4. Few trades over there. And apparently black is better. Now that's crazy. How is black better with the king on d7? Well, due to these pawns, his king may not have castle, but these pawns form a brick wall, and there's no way white is having an easy time opening up the position. We see rook f to b1, and now all black has to do is to prevent an infiltration on b7. It's -1 if black literally plays something like king to c6. Maybe we'll see a little bit of queen to c8. This looks a bit more reasonable. And something like counterattack starting on the king side and king to c6. This king will find some time maybe to walk in or even just support the structure. Yeah, with knight b5, and you close all that up, put some significant pressure over here. Black is better. It's crazy stuff. In the game, we got g5, the counterattack I mentioned. It is a move, but it's, as I said, quite risky considering the positioning of the king, and Jadon very quickly takes what is given, infiltrates. It's not the end of the world, but it's gonna be an annoying piece in there. We see a rook lift to a5, just possibly defending everything. Queen moves over to b2, and we see the point of the rook lift. It was to transfer pieces this way. Rook to b1, and you see white has taken complete control of the b file, the only open file in the position. Now, position's getting a bit tense, but what you should do here to defend yourself is something like rook to c8. What the hell is c8? Over here, just over defend the knight. And maybe you'll get a chance to run away with your king at some point. It's a very interesting game, and of course, as usual, try to keep it closed because you never castled. The game we got rook to a7 and the engine is not amused. It's a very simple check here and actually forces resignation on the spot as if you step down, there's a you're forced to sack your queen for the rook. Yeah, it's kind of hard playing with the king in the center. That's why it was a risky plan, but he had his preparation. I'm not gonna judge him, but it's quite the risky plan. A very interesting game. He played rook a7 rather quickly too. Sometimes things happen. Mehul will bounce back. National champions die hard. I have one more video for you guys. Game between Nicole Albright versus WFM Joyce Ndirangu. Kick off with a hyper accelerated dragon. And we see the Moroxy structure. This is a very annoying system to face as it limits black's counterplay by controlling critical pawn breaks. Queen to b6 attacks the knight. a5 is another assault on the knight looking to push pawn through, maybe all the way down actually. But the best move was d6 as it would control two critical squares in the black position. That's why white advances, taking up some space. Some nice development with tempo. Pawn is pushed all the way down the board. It grabs space but could be a weakness in the long run. We see that queen kicked back, a weakness created on d5. Bishop develops and we get pawn to d5. Critical break in the Sicilian, freeing the black pieces favorably. Bishop c5 tickles the rook. The rook moves over. We see castles, a trade on e4, and white flicks this move in, forcing the rook up the board and restoring material equality, but the b2 pawn drops. Black is a clean pawn up. We see the ladies leaving the board, and all white has here is a slight development advantage and will try to bully black before she gets all her pieces out. Bishop drops back, the rook is pushed back. See doubling on the e file, bishop pushed, and knight to c5 is apparently a losing mistake. It starts with knight to d4, forcing the rook to move over, knight to f5 attacking the bishop. All you have to do here is a trade on e1, push the bishop back. Let me just show you that line. You should trade on e1, push the bishop back, go knight to e3, attacking the bishop. Bishop can maybe drop back to somewhere like e2, and finally bishop to c3. Nasty stuff. You can't drop back the rook to defend your bishop, so you'd be losing some material here. In the game we got bishop to c3 immediately a skewer, but white can trade with check. The rook drops back. Notice the time situation on the clock. Black is down almost 20 minutes, so white is going to try and use the time advantage to force a mistake out of black. Black is better. Black is a clean pawn up. See a trade on e3. And rook d3 is my blunder. Oh my goodness, you just trade the rook and skewer over here. Something like this. And I mean a fork. Oh my god. But no, she gives a check. Oh my god, that was a free piece. Happens. Black is still much, much better. All she has to do is keep some pieces on the board and probably create a pass as she trades the rooks off. This endgame is a bit difficult actually, as your pawns are quite advanced, but white's pieces are near enough to slow them down. Bishop is forced to move back, knight to c5, and the best move is in fact b3, sacrificing the pawn and just getting rid of everything on the queen side, and then you just hold the draw. The game we saw a3, now there's a problem. Black pawns get blockaded and both of them might fall. We do in fact, oh my god, this is a painful game. We do in fact see both pawns falling, and a second ago, believe me or not, black is slightly better here if she plays king to e5. It's a crazy idea. Let's say you take the pawn anyways, and now the king will run this way. And the king's gonna get in here and munch everybody here. Insane stuff. In the game we got king to d5, which is a lot more natural. Trying to go and stop white's passer now. The problem is White's passer shall not be stopped. That pawn's gonna start moving at some point. F4 is a nice move. There's a fork, you can't take it. Knight to b5, the knight is centralized. And a4, the passer is running and the knight is playing the bishop in this game. Bishop's won with a fork. Oh my god, now all you have to do is win black pawns, even sack the knight. As long as you can get one pawn going, you should be winning. And White gets the job done. It was in this position that Black resigned. Wow, what a game. Nicole takes down the two-time national champion. Impressive work from both players. Just gonna show you the standings real quick of day 2. Jaden Mayu absolutely smoking everybody with a clean 4 out of 4 points. Elizabeth Cassidy leading the ladies section. Nicole a close second, and in the open section, the juniors are killing it. Kuka in second place, tied with Omolo and Magana, and Howie, the current national champ, catching up, has 2 points. Wow, what a tournament. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be covering the rest of the games. See you then. Thank you for watching.